Greetings, everyone. This is your girl, Sage. Today, I am coming to you with day 12 of 28 days of self-love. I was actually inspired to do a video today to discuss what is it about us as humans that makes us commit suicide. What is it that makes us want to take our own lives, take ourselves out? With the recent suicides of Anthony Bourdain and Spade, and also it hitting close to home, my daughter's father committed suicide. He was a military vet. But I also knew him from childhood on up. So when it hits home, you almost have an inside understanding, as well as when it hits you. So in those moments of where these people were wanting to take their own lives, I feel like society has, and ourselves, we put so much pressure on ourselves that we box ourselves, and our souls do not like to be boxed. And instead of healing our mind, body, and soul, allowing our soul to lead us to where we can heal. And healing is needed because we are so far from who we actually are, who we truly are, that healing is needed to merge us back into being who we truly are. We are both spiritual beings and we're material beings. We have to merge the two together in order to live happily and in peace and in joy. We can't live a completely material life where we focus on getting material success and we focus on, what satisfies society. Both of these people were immensely successful people, and we could go back in history and with the overdoses. And I personally loved Whitney Houston. Everybody may have their opinions about whether it was a suicide or was not, but I personally loved her. That was my idol growing up. I tried to emulate her voice so much. I felt a connection with her soul. And the struggles that she went through, she had a lot of pain. And, excuse me, she had a lot of pain. And she was so successful. So how does a person so successful have to numb themselves just to get to the next day? How does that happen? It happens because we box ourselves into this one thing, into being one way. And when we become accepted by doing this one thing, we try to hold on to that so we can remain accepted. Because humans, for some reason, they can't seem to accept other people. They can't seem to accept when they change. These celebrities, they have fans, right? And it becomes about pleasing the fans. This is what my fans want, so I have to stay this way. Instead of evolving, because we are evolving beings. We evolve. So as we evolve, our fans have to evolve with us, or they're just not going to like us. They're not going to They're not going to accept us for the new person we evolve into anymore. And I feel like we don't see celebrities as humans anymore. We see them as robots. Like they don't have feelings. Like they don't have their own pain. Artists live a life of expressing pain, of expressing it outwardly. They use their gifts to heal. So in using their gifts to heal, they have to somehow express whatever pain is within and put that out on paper. The greatest actresses and actors and the greatest singers and, you know, the greatest musicians, they put it all out there in their music, in their art, in their, everything is an art. And they express it. But we act like they're not human. And with the internet, people are so freaking heartless. Let alone it's a large population of people who are just heartless anywhere. They're so disconnected. They're heartless in person and on the internet. The internet makes it easier to hide behind the keyboard. And I'm not saying that these are the reasons why people commit suicide. What I'm saying is it's a tale of how our society is unable to evolve with people. With the whole Kanye West situation. It's amazing how people were so ready to throw him out with the wolves. They didn't care. They acted like he was just, like he wasn't a human. What is it going to take for everyone to focus inward and stop focusing outward? You live your lives through celebrities. You live your lives through people who accomplish things that you haven't or can't accomplish, but which you can accomplish. But you live your lives through them. And when they don't do what you see them to be doing, when they don't act in the way that you think that they should act, even if, and they're not even harming, like they're not even hurting people. Like there's a difference between, you know, you have your people who are actually out there abusing people, they're harming people, they're hurting people, but people are dragging people and people are throwing people out to the wolves just for evolving, just for expressing a different perception. And that's been through history. People have killed in history for people who expressed a different idea. I watched the Osho documentary. The man wasn't bothering nobody in that town. If you go Wild Wild Country on Netflix, and this small town of people were so big. And speaking of suicide, Osho committed suicide. They say it was foul play and everything like that, but he asked them to kill him. That's suicide. So at what point do we get from helping others, from expressing our true gifts, from doing all of these things, to wanting to take our own lives? So these people were in this town and they had their own limited perspective. They couldn't understand people doing anything different. These people weren't bothering them. They had a whole city off in the desert away from them. They kept all of their happy and sensual everything activities, like they kept that all on the land that they were on. Their singing, all of that, their expression, everything, because we have to express. Primal religions had, you know, your African religions and your Native American, your American Indian, like all of that. They had chanting and dancing and being free and being sensual and sexual, being just having a freedom of expression. And they were expressing this, but the people who didn't know how to express themselves, who had a limited, they had a colonizer point of view, they had an oppressive point of view, that when somebody did something different from them, it scared them because they saw themselves. They saw those people through their own reflection, through their own blurry lens. So their fear of the unknown is death. Like, oh, we're going to die if we don't get a handle on this. We're going to die. That's their whole, they go from 0 to 10 real quick when they don't know about something. And that shows where their mentality is. So in this wild, wild country, these people, their whole thing was, it must be a cult. We don't know what it is. They might kill us. We don't know what's going to happen to our little town. So these people were nonviolent for as long as possible. And they decided to get violent. They decided to get their trucks that burned buildings. You know, they got their pickup trucks and their guns and started threatening these people's lives. So what happens when you threaten people's lives? Some show love still. Some are able to, but these people that were in charge, they eventually resorted to their enemy. They became their enemy because they were trying to fight their enemy. And in order to fight their enemy, they became their enemy. So when I redirect that into the idea of suicide, what do when we kill ourselves, we go into the mode of becoming our own enemy. We become an enemy to ourselves. We're unhappy with who we are. We're unhappy with the box that we've allowed ourselves to be put in. We're unhappy with the pain we've never dealt with. We're unhappy with the trauma that's permeating throughout our minds and bodies. And in order to experience just a minute of joy, we go to addictions. Food, drugs, shopping, people, sex, all kinds of things, hoarding. Holding on to things because we are afraid if we let it go that there's something will happen to us. Recreating the dramas of our childhood. This is why I stress the importance of self-love. Because I have been in some very low places, and I have allowed people, relationships, to bring me to some very low places. There have been points where I have believed what people were telling me, and I acted as such. I forgot who I truly was. And these 28 days of self-love videos are for me to put out here, to get over my own fears of sharing myself, of sharing the knowledge that I have come into, of sharing my insight, of sharing my perspective, of sharing my truth. So often I have judged my truth in the past, and I've been like, oh, I don't like the way I said that. And the video could be a great video, full of truth, but I didn't like that one thing that I said because I know how horrible social media can get. So I erased the whole video. and it's gone forever. So these videos, I am freestyling what I say. There's no prescript. I'm putting it out there. And I am speaking from my heart. And the type of tribe that I wish to attract, the type of audience that I wish to attract, are people who want to accept themselves, who desire to accept themselves for who they really are, who desire to love themselves, who desire to have a joyful life, living their best truth, living their best selves. Who wants that? Who is tired of living through the eyes of others, through the pain that they've experienced? Who is tired? Because when you get tired enough, that is when change will come. But if you're not tired and you enjoy living in a pile of shit, then that's what you're going to keep rolling in. And I don't wish to commune with people who would like to continue to roll in their shit. When people commit suicide, they absolutely feel that there is no way out. There's no other way but to take themselves out. They almost feel like they have tried everything, and they continue, no matter what they do, they continue to not be fulfilled, not be happy, and they continue to disappoint, and they continue to not feel accepted. They continue to feel isolated. They continue to feel all of these things are feelings that they're experiencing. This world is tough. And I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't angry at first. You know? It's one of those things where people, that's the most selfish thing you can do. Of course. They weren't thinking about anyone but themselves. That is why they did it. Because they could not see past themselves. They could not see past how they could become this person that they thought they should be. How they have done A, B, and C, and it's still not enough. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know why every single person did it. But there is a common thread that I have noticed upon people who either attempt suicide or have successfully done it. The pressures are too much, are too great. Then you got we're not going to get on the pharmaceuticals who have suicide as a side effect. How is it possible that I'm trying to get rid of a headache, but I might commit suicide in the process? That don't make sense at all. And at this point, I'm really just sharing my heart right now. And I'm really just letting you know how I feel about this topic. I don't have all the answers. I don't. But I understand. Because I've been there. When you call the National Suicide Line, they ask you, do you have magical thinking? Do you have all of these certain... It's like, what? So, hold up, I have to block off my spiritual side in order to not be put in a psychiatric ward? Because I thought I was calling to be anonymous, but really y'all are asking me my real name. Y'all are asking me my information. And then you proceed to ask me questions. So maybe that's just the hotline that I called. I don't know. But I was just curious at what kind of help that line offered. So I called. And I was very disappointed. Was very disappointed in how they handled it. I was very disappointed when the first thing that was offered was medicine. When I went to visit a psychiatrist, when I was dealing with the suicide of my daughter's father, I went to therapy. I went to see a psychiatrist. And when I went to see the psychiatrist, she didn't even, she asked me a series of questions. And I had to lie so they wouldn't put me in a psychiatric ward. I had to lie and say, no, I wasn't experiencing this and this and that. I think how they handle it is really horrible. I never took that medicine. I instead decided to holistically assist myself and feel my feelings and feel and accept my shadows and go through this process of self-love. What does it take? What is it going to take? And it wasn't the reason, I found it had nothing to do, that was a trigger. His suicide was a trigger. It was not the culprit of my pain. My pain came from way before. My pain came from childhood. My pain came from my teenage years, from my adult years, from my recent years. My pain, I was experiencing it over and over and over, and it was this cycle that I couldn't get out of. So when I finally started seeing that there was light at the end of the tunnel, that I didn't have to keep going through that cycle, that all I needed to do was accept and love myself. Whew. Man, what a revelation. What a way to have peace. I don't even, the person that I am now, I almost don't even recognize who I used to be. When I go back and I look at old videos, my personality has even kind of shifted because I don't have as great of a need to please and to be this person that I think that I should be for other people. There was a shift, a carelessness almost. Like, you know what? I can give a two fucks what you say. Oh, she's cursing, but she's talking about spiritual stuff and da-da-da-da-da. Who the fuck cares? Because guess what? I am me. I am a multi-part being. I am not just one person. I am not just one way. And neither are you. And you are a fool to think that you are just one way. And you are a fool to try to hold people accountable to being just one way. Yes, I said it. You are a fool because you are ignorant to the fact that people are multi-dimensional beings. You don't understand it. So you're ignorant to it. It's an observation. It's not an insult. You don't have to stay. You don't have to continue to be a fool. You don't have to. You can always educate yourself. You can always get to know yourself and love yourself and realize who you are. That all of these Western diagnoses are bullshit. It's a way to label you, to compartmentalize you into one way of being. People who are schizophrenic, they come to awaken us out of our slumber. They can't even control their multi-dimensional beings. They can't even control it. So they come to show us that we are multidimensional. And they absolutely cannot themselves in a box of what society thinks that they should be in. Unfortunately, they have to be on the extreme end to make us realize that. Their soul came here to show us certain things. So they had to go on the extreme. Them souls sacrificed their themselves to show us this about ourselves. But we, those of us who can control it, we all have our soul paths. And we all have chosen our soul paths. And we get to create ourselves anew at any moment. At what point will we decide that we will not be boxed anymore? What moment will we decide that we are multidimensional beings and that we can accept ourselves? That way, we can accept others and allow others to just be. Can we embrace silence? A lot of you can't even sit in silence. A lot of you may not watch this whole video because it's too slow. It's not. You guys are used to microwave videos, those short, quick Instagram videos. Get the word in and go about your merry day. Oh, that's a good word. And then you keep going. Even though you know it meant something to you, but I'm not ready to change yet. I'm not ready to evolve. I'm comfortable where I am. I'm content because the unknown is scary. I'm content with recreating dramas and living in it right now until I don't anymore. It feels good to be, accepted. So I'm going to stay here, even though my soul does not want to be accepted in the way that we see ourselves being accepted. You notice those people, those kids in high school and elementary school, those kids that want to be in the in crowd, they want to be accepted, so they'll do a lot. Some of them will do anything to be accepted, even if that means sacrificing who they truly are, what their heart leads them to do, because they want to be accepted. That's what we do as adults. That's what we do. We want to be accepted by society, so we get along. We go along to get along. Because it's too painful to not feel accepted. But we all have a tribe. There is someone out there just like you. And you being yourself gives them permission to be themselves. Somebody has to be the bigger person. But instead, we belittle ourselves into these boxes, pleasing everyone, or still pleasing no one, but pleasing everyone. And no one ever gets to see that authentic person who you truly are. They never get blessed by your true soul. I'm going to stop my rant. I've said enough. I could go on for days and days and days. I can go on. My daughter wants to say hi.
Hi.
But I can go on. And I still won't feel like I've said enough. Because you have to live it. You have to understand it in order to really get and grasp what I'm saying. You have to really look inside yourself to really grasp these ideas. Some of you are so stuck in the past. So stuck in the past, defending your past, your ancestors, that you don't realize that your ancestors want you to evolve and do something different. Your ancestors are guiding you in your hearts to do something different. If things were supposed to be the same, then no challenges would have come. If things are supposed to be the same, then why change? Why should we change? But that is the only thing that's constant. So why are we so stuck in the past? At what point do we do something in our now? At what point do we realize that all we have is now? That yesterday is here, but it's gone. You have experienced yesterday as the past. So the only thing that exists is right now. You can't make decisions about your past. As much as they say you should make decisions, you can't make decisions about your future. You can only make decisions about your now. Because who knows what you will decide in your now of the future. I'm not going to get too deep about time and all that stuff. I'm not going to get too deep about it. But again, I just think that it's crazy. I think it's crazy for us not to learn to get to know ourselves and learn to love ourselves and learn to accept ourselves. I think it's crazy to remain blind to who we are. I think that's insane. I think that is insanity. To think that you're supposed to be the same person forever. And to think that other people are supposed to be the same person. I'm out. And I love you for who you are because I see straight through you. Who we all are at the soul. It's beautiful at the soul level. Who we all are is beautiful at the soul level. It's who we become. It's what we perceive ourselves as. It's what we show ourselves as. That we become the people that seem like they're unlovable. But again, I see straight through that. Peace out. Rest in peace to Kate, Anthony, Pierre, Whitney, Dorothy, Osha. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.